So Mark, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mark Partridge and I'm Design Manager for Interior Architecture for OrangeBox. And today we're launching On the QT, the new phone booths. So one of the big questions we asked ourselves really early on in the project was, how do we develop a product in such a saturated market? And also, how do we bring new value to a product in this saturated market? So the big thing for me really was the fact that we wanted to bring a broader bandwidth of functionality to the product. So not trying to make the product too small, squeeze it too tight, but just to stretch it a little bit to see how far we could take that bandwidth of functionality.
As I understand it, most phone booths would have one singular size, but we've got two sizes here.
Yeah, that's right. Let me introduce the short phone booth. This is a really great functional space to be inside, and this is a fantastic space to be making those video calls from. Of course, you can make the phone calls, but you know, we know in the post-COVID world that we're going to be making more video calls. So this is a fantastic space to be inside, really comfortable inside to make those calls.
Fantastic. And I can see that you've got ample leg room there.
Yeah. This is a really important thing about the one of the details of the kink shape that allows you to get this extended bandwidth of being able to sit down with plenty of leg room, a really comfortable space to be able to make those calls or even do a bit of work for an hour if you wish. Okay, yeah, so the tall phone booth. This again is a great space to be inside. You can see it's very spacious, and it's like your traditional tall phone booth, but it does have this extra legroom space inside, which makes it feel really nice and comfortable. Options on shelf, but this is a nice big comfortable shelf. And the one thing that's great is this corner, this soft corner to hunker into. It works extremely well to capture your voice from an acoustic point of view.
Fantastic. And Mark, if you just step out, I can see that we haven't quite got a straight design. We've got this sort of quite unique feature here.
Yeah, that's right. This is the kink, and this is a really important element to the whole product. You can see here how we've got it set up with a row of phone booths together. This creates an air gap. This is really important from an acoustic point of view, which means you never ever have phone booths butted up together, and you minimize the sound transfer between solid surfaces of the booth. And of course, like I said, it gives you that extended footprint in the bottom for extra comfort. Also, the idea behind this kink is that it's a little bit like a recording studio when they put the glass at an angle in a studio to reflect any reverberated sound down and away, which further improves the acoustic performance inside the booths.
And I'm right in saying, Mark, aren't I, that acoustics, not with just phone booths, with pods, can be a bit of a dark art.
Yeah, very challenging. One of the big challenges with phone booths in particular is it's such a small space to actually test inside. It's very difficult, so sometimes a single figure can be misleading to the performance of a phone booth. But we've done some clever things. We've got an innovative acoustic cassette solution in here, which has sound blocking and absorption. We then have the insides, the recycled polyester felt on the insides, and on top of that we've got these lovely soft baffles that are further enhancing the acoustic performance. The wraparound effect that we get here actually reduces the reverberation, a flutter effect between the two glass panels, and that's really important. Another couple of things we've done is we've made sure that these doors are really rigid. That can be a real problem with a lot of phone booths, not having a rigid enough door and not having a good solid seal. And finally, we've worked quite hard to add laminated glass to the product to further enhance the acoustic performance. Now this is really important because it actually reduces a dip in the performance when you're when you're dealing with speech privacy, there is around about a 2000 kilohertz dip in performance. The laminated glass actually balances that out, so further improving that.
So Mark, sometimes when you enter a phone booth, it can feel a little bit like a submarine. How have we overcome that?
Great question. Yeah, we've worked really hard between design and engineering to develop a new ventilation solution that is not a pressurized system. It's a very clever system that reduces that, and that's one of the main things that makes you feel a little bit like your ears are popping inside, or even sometimes feeling a bit nauseous inside. That combined with just balancing, really sort of perfectly fine-tuning that reverberation rate and the sound absorption inside, just gives you a perfect balance. That means you can spend much longer in a phone booth without feeling uncomfortable.
You're working on a project right now, a wonderful sort of branding project called Fake Noise.
Yeah, absolutely. This is all about acoustics. We're trying to talk about some of the challenges that all of us have with regards to acoustics. It is a real challenge in a phone booth because it's such a small space to get realistic figures. In some respects, there isn't actually any test standard that works with phone booths. So those figures can be misleading. A single figure can be quite misleading. So we're developing a story around that, and it's all about using the 4 cornerstones: the ABC, the absorb, the block, and the cover. The figures, the test figures that you get from standards, the comfort, how you feel inside. We've just been talking about that, and also the location and where you put the products as well is really critical. You have to put all these things together as a jigsaw to get the perfect balance of acoustics.
Mark, we were talking about bandwidths earlier and how about we increase them with the phone booth, and how do we go about doing that exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was something that was really important to me to try and consider how we would use the products. Firstly, I want to say that the short phone booth helps to broaden that bandwidth because you can use these products in the open plan space much more comfortably because of the lower height, and they don't intrude into that open plan vista across the landscape. And secondly, you can start to use them because of that in this kind of functional way. So this is what we call a corral of phone booths. We've got 2 here with whiteboards on. We've got 3 phone booths here that can be used for a little project space. People can sit down, and we talk about creating these little campsites where you can score your thoughts in the trees, effectively on the phone booth here on the walls. You can then drop inside and actually use the phone booth as a little sort of focus space for that team. So we can start to do that, some exciting things with the product in this way. And also you can put a row of the phone booths up against a wall, and you can actually have a really good, valuable sort of space, little sort of row of booths to eliminate the need to actually integrate booths into the space or to sort of custom build these sort of booths in. So you can use them very flexibly.
So Mark, another way you've been able to bring some nice levels of design and aesthetic to the phone booth is by touch points, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We always think of our products as, importantly, particularly with the pods, as having these touch points. It's the first point of contact that you have with the product, and it's the journey you have right the way through. So the minute you grab the door handle and go inside, it's all part of that value of the sort of the quality of the product. So you sit down, it's the area that you're seated. You know, the comfort in this has got to be super great. You've got a lovely armrest here to lean your arm against into when you're having a phone call. It also sort of naturally makes you sort of sit, hunker into this corner, this beautiful soft ergonomic corner. And you've got the sort of the table surface exactly where you need it. So these are really important. It's about the experience you have inside. One of the great features of this product is that you can change the finishes on the outside of these products, both sides. So you've got a combination of plywood, laminates, beautiful soft upholstery solutions on the outside to soften that phone booth, and also the option of having the whiteboard on both sides of the walls.
Mark, we've been talking about comfort levels and how that's really important when we're inside the phone booth. Two critical components, I guess, lighting and ventilation.
Yeah, very good point. So what we've done with this product is we've made it super simple, and you just walk inside and everything turns on and everything starts. We've got beautifully integrated lighting and ventilation, and let's face it, most of the time you're probably on a phone call before you go inside, so the last thing you want to do is to start messing around with any controls. You just don't need to. There's just no need to. It just works perfectly. We spend a lot of time on that. So the ventilation is pushed out right where you need it, where you're facing, where you're sat or stood, and the lighting is perfectly tuned to drop down onto the work surface. And of course, one of the other great features is that we've got the indicator lights to tell you when it's occupied. So you can look across that floor plate and see when something's occupied and when something's not occupied. Let's face it, it's quite hard to find a phone booth these days, so you really need to know in advance rather than wandering around the workplace to try and find one. One of the other things that we've done with the phone booth, which is really important, is kept the footprint to an absolute minimum. So we've kept it just under 4 foot, which means that it's exempt from sprinkler integration in most regions of the world, which is a really powerful part of the story. One of the other great benefits of our phone booths is that they can be assembled in 1 hour or less, and once you've assembled them, you can actually truck them around the space. So you simply pop the cover off the bottom, push the pump truck underneath, and jack up and wheel wherever you wish. And the great thing is with a short phone booth is that you can actually wheel the phone booth around even between rooms if you've got a door just slightly wider than 1 meter. And there's a potential, depending on the lift size, that you can actually get it in some lifts and move from floor to floor. And that's on the QT, the new phone booth from OrangeBox.